same thing we've just done, but this time around we're going to use only HTML and CSS, and we're going to be using grid and also flex. I'm not going to be using flex. I'm going to be using grid and float. So I'm going to change this one to bootstrap. So that's to denote that bootstrap was used. And the next one, the one I want to create now, I will just say HTML, or I will just say index, so that we can then start afresh. We already have what we want to do in our mind, right? For our mind, we get everything we want to do. So let's go ahead and start doing it. I will preview. Okay, I can't start previewing now until I start writing the code. So let's start with no be sorry, you know where we go meet now. So let's do our head, right? And then we have our title, and we'll call this sign up. Okay, the next thing is for us to, let me preview quickly so that I'll remove this section on the left hand side. So let's bring in our link rel style sheet. What else are we doing, guys? We're bringing in href, that's assets, then style. Okay, then we'll go with the body. Okay, we want to do, there's a lot of things we have to be doing here in our, okay, let me create another style sheet because I don't want to touch this style. So let me say style 2. I don't want to touch that style. So by default, this one is style 2. That's for natural behavior. Okay. So our style 2 will be here for us to be styling all the things we want to style. And the way we started off with that one, another thing we can do is we can actually be checking our bootstrap and actually be seeing the difference. We can still preview what is going on. Oh, we can only see one preview at a time. Okay, no problem. We don't need to preview it. I thought we can have 2 preview at a time, but we can only see 1 preview at a time. That's okay. Split down. So come here, we go. So let's continue, guys. So remember what we want to do, guys. We want to first split the screen into 2, and we need grid to be able to do that for us. We need grid to be able to do that for us. So we do, we need to create a container. And call this grid container. Then since we'll be creating a lot of grid, we just say grid container here. This grid container happens to be any grid. When you are creating grid, you need grid container and you need grid item. Grid container and grid item is required. So grid item. So the item happens to be, one will be on the left hand side, one will be on the right hand side. So here is where we'll have our sign up form, and the other one on the right hand side is where it will not form automatically image. So it's not going to form automatically. We have to form the theme by ourselves. So that's where the CSS comes to play. So we have our grid container, And the grid container, from what it says, is to be the parent of the whole thing. So you have to specify the type to be grid. So it's not enough that you say that it's a grid. You can also specify grid template. Grid template gives you flexibility on how the item should be aligned. So we can say we want the grid template for the column to be, I love this guy. I love this 1F. I love this 1F. I can't talk about it now. I love this 1FR, 1FR. I can't talk about it now, but I love it so much that you can do a lot of things with it. So you can see, guys, this just transform what we just did, guys. So this here is the sign up form. This here is the image. Automatically, we just did that by doing this. Everything that is inside this becomes the grid item inside here. Yeah, we don't need to call it grid item, but let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. So let me just say G container. Make I not go give them all these weird name. Let's give it the grid container like that. Okay, guys, let's move on. The next thing we want to be able to do is to have the logo at this side. So let's start naming things. So we have our form sitting right there. The next thing I want to do is I want to be able to have my logo here on the right hand side. So I'll call it logo. In fact, let's put the logo immediately since we have our logo. So logo, img src. Where's the logo? The logo is inside assets. Assets logo dot. Make I check if people they comment, because if you are commenting, I might not see you, but I've checked no comment yet. So width, we did 120 the other time or something, so you can just do something within that range. Okay, so we have our logo sitting right there. Hey, how do you move it to the right? So we'll be using float too. We could use float. We could use, yeah, we'll use float. So we'll use float to move this guy to the right, and then we'll clear it. That's a long story. So let me come here, and since the logo is going to be 1, so no, let me give it a general stuff. So I'm going to be floating right. So I can say float right and float right, and then clear. So float method has a rule. Once you float, when you're done floating, you clear both. That's the rule. So you have to follow these rules to be able to use these floats very well. Now the logo, I'm floating the logo right, so I have to put my float here to the right. Float right. So you can see my logo is on the right hand side. And one of the things you have to do when you finish floating is what? You clear. I teach this in my class. So by the way, we do classes. Okay, clear. So you might not see the results of the clear immediately. Oh, this clear don't affect things. So okay, I cannot clear first day like that. Okay, the next thing I wanted to do is I want to be able to provide space. You can see that this guy is so close to the image, so there should kind of be a kind of padding in between this guy. So let me create a kind of content, but even though this item can serve as that, but let me do a kind of container. Let me do a kind of container. This guy sits inside here. So this container will be what I'm going to be using to create artificial sizes for stuffs. And let me first start with padding of 100. That's too much, but that's cool. I just want to see what's going on. So let's start with 30. So 30 is not too bad. 30 is okay. Let's do 30 container. So container is going to be what we're going to be using to put things in our content share where we get container, we'll use this guy as container. So even in here, we're going to use container to put things like that. Container. So we're going to put images here, image, so you can see everything is like so. So we can go and set this background of this guy, because this whole thing is going to be background based. So I want to create a class here to say sign up BG. Yeah, you can make it an ID since it's going to be unique. So let's make it an ID so that we just have it there. Then you come here and put it there as ID. The next thing you want to do is yeah, let's go ahead and reference it. So let's just copy the code in this guy because we did it specially here. So let's copy the code here and make our life easy. Okay, we've done that. So we have this thing going right here. We can still copy more codes. So I did title. Remember I did title, so I can copy that. I did title. So what I will now do is that I will label the text title, which I have not done. So I will do div. Yeah, I can just do span or paragraph or anything, but let me just do div class and call this title. And what will be there is bootcamp. Again, you want to move to the right, very easy. You can do align. You can do align now. Align right now. Yeah, we can align text to the right. So to do that, we can do text right. So I can just say text right, and I can go and style text right. So you can do text align right. So that should fix that one for us. For title, you might want to do, I think we gave it H something. H4. Okay. That's this thing they put inside voila. So let's title this guy. Let's give it font size. Font size of 30. Let's do 25. Okay. I think that's okay. So let's move on to the next thing. The next thing is to start putting our sign up guide there. Since we are not growing it yet, we can still remove this one. So we want to put our alternative text and call this logo. Where is the sign up guy? So this is your logo. This is your container. Remember, your container is going to be inside sign up. So I think we need H1 for sign up. Then we can do sign up. Yep. So we have our sign up there. Then the next thing we want to do is to provide our form. So your form can be inside here. Remember that we will be doing grid in your form. Your form will contain a grid. This is where your things start becoming interesting. Now, but the thing is that this one is not sitting very well. This part is going to give us small. You can see what's happening here. So let me try and do this one a little bit. So we need to do run a clear. Okay, so that clear is required whenever you have float right. That's theoretical stuff. If you join my class, you will understand that part. Okay, let's move on, guys, and then continue with the form. Because you are doing form, you will need to do the same method we use to do Bootstrap, where we have grid. We'll do something like that, but we'll use grid to do this one. So we'll have grid container, then we also have grid div grid item. Okay, so we have this. We can then introduce, let's test if the grid is working. So we'll have our form here, and this will also serve as our second form, right? So we'll have half and half on that side. The next thing is for us to start building our form, just the same way we build that one, guys. We are gonna do it the same way. So I have label. In fact, I can go and copy everything from there. just so it's easy for us. Let's go and copy everything from there. But we're going to rewrite the code. So I'm copying from form. Don't worry, because we're not copying Bootstrap, so you don't need to worry. We're going to rename everything there so that it's easy, and we don't need to retype what we've already typed. So I've gone there. I want to copy from form. Remember, instead of us worrying about row and column, we're going to rename all this row and column to what? Guess what we're going to rename it to? We're going to rename it to grid container and grid item. That's what we're going to rename it to. Very easy. So let's go ahead and look for all the instances of row. So I'm going to do this so that it doesn't mess it up. So I'm going to search for all rows, and that's done by pressing Ctrl D. Once you press Ctrl D, you have all your rows highlighted. Then I do grid container. So notice what happened. Automatically it does some sort of sorting for me. Put this on the left, put this on the right. Well, we're getting there gradually. So the next thing I want to do is, of course, change all my column to grid ID, even though it's not relevant for now because I'm not styling anything uniquely for my grid ID. But let me just put it there. I'm not rather my grid item. So I find all instances of column and I change it to grid item. I'm not styling any grid item yet, but that's fine. Now there's nothing called MB2, right? MB2 was a style from Bootstrap, and that doesn't mean I can't restyle that. I can actually practically restyle everything that we've done here, but I don't want to use the same nomenclature for what I've used for Bootstrap. So I'm changing the name, and I'm not going to implement this one. I'm going to use this form label, but I'm going to call it different name. So I've removed that MB2 so that it will even look different. So let me start with this first row first. Once I finish this first row, then I will show you how you will implement it. So first of all, we need to go heavy on styling. So I will call this one, I don't need to give it a class name. I can just go and style the label class. So let's go ahead and style the label class. I want to also have a view on the right so that I can have my guy working. I can be doing these two things at the same time without moving too much. I can be seeing what is going on without jumping up and down. Okay, so what I want to do is target the label, and for starters, my label display should be block. So what that means is that, yeah, label should be block, shouldn't be inline. That's one. Number two is also my input of type text should also be block. So that gives me this one. It allows me to break this guy. Do you see what happens? This one has broken down because all my inputs for text is now blocked, but password is still not selected. So, but that's fine. I can always indicate that password should be part of the mix. So password is part of the mix now. Okay, I've been able to do this. I want to automatically give label a space. I want to space what I have here. Then I can do something like, by default, I don't like this font. Let's go and change the font. It looks as if font family. Let me use this one. Nah, this is too serious. I'll use Vadana. Font family. Okay, let's just use Arial. Okay. So let's go on, guys. So I want to make sure that the should I worry about the padding bottom? Okay, that's not the size I want to make it give. Let me check what this one is. Nah, it's the margin I'm concerned about. Margin top, yep, So the other time we did 7. So there should be a kind of space in between this and this. So that kind of creates that space. And at the bottom of the whole thing, we should have margin bottom. Okay, so this is the bottom of the entire stuff. So the bottom should look like 10 should be fine, or 20. Okay, 20 is fine. So we want to style our text too. So we want to, by default, the width should be 100%. Now this is gonna be so serious. Okay, so I know what we did here. So remember from our grid container, we did 2 versus 1. That's why this guy is like this. So we need to create another grid container that is just for form. So we'll duplicate this one, but this time around we're not going to call it grid container again. We're going to call it, yeah, it's going to be grid form container. So this is what, but it's too long. I'll say grid form. Let me just say grid form. It's okay. So this time around, we're just going to do one FR, meaning half. So all these places that we have this grid container called, we're going to rename it. So all of them are going to be changed to this. Only this one is going to now be here. So these guys are now okay like this, right? But what about the space? What about the space? Don't worry, we have the space covered. The space can be removed by, or can be absorbed by, what we call grid gap. So you can actually specify gaps in between grid gap. Where the gap they say grid gap. So why did they have it cancelled? Has it been depreciated? Let me check why it's cancelled. Avoid using a shorthand. Okay, so what should we use? Okay, we should use gap. Okay, gap is preferred. Okay, so you can see that it still gives the same result. Okay, so the distance between it should be, let's say 20. Let's see what 20 does. So 20 is kind of okay. So let's go ahead and beef up our text to give us a nice look and feel. We have padding. I think padding should be 10. Looks too big. Let me first change the font size. Okay, let me do 15. Okay, so padding should be around 8. Okay, I think we're good with this padding. Then I can do border radius. Okay, no need of border radius from the template that we have. So let me see comments. If we are to import a font, how do we go about it? Font again. You can import fonts now. You do want us to add fonts to this thing? Where would they do? Might have finished this thing first now. This time, as this is close to 1 o'clock. Let me first finish this one. You can actually import fonts. You can import fonts. That's another thing entirely. Let me know if you want me to add fonts to it, but go see now for WhatsApp now. So let's go ahead, guys. I've been able to do these 2 guys. They are working very well. So you can see that this styling are done okay. Now, how do you implement the next one? How do you implement the next one? Is to go and see the way it was designed. Let's go and see the way it was designed. Look at the way we implement this one, guys. We just, even though this grid item is not doing anything, but let's just keep it there for now. So remember, the way we implement it is to, first, we even remove this one. It's negligible. And we remove the class. We don't need the class. What else do? We also, okay, we did not specify for type of email. So let's go ahead and specify for type of email. The calculation and design we did was just for 2 things. We did for text and for password. So now we specify for email, as well. So email now benefits from this design as well. Okay, this guy is going to give us a little bit of trouble, but let's do that last. Let's do this guy last. Let's see. Okay, this is working well. So let's now see this select. Let's fix the select, guys. But before we fix the select, let's go ahead and fix select. Let me see what is happening in the password, because I want to remove anything bootstrap from here. Let me see the password again. Okay, so anything that is bootstrap, remove. Okay, so we've removed all bootstrap reference, even though it's not doing anything because we've not bringing the bootstrap class into it. So let's look at the select, guys. Select. Again, we have to style the select. The label is working, kind of, but the select is not doing anything. So we need to style it. Let's see if it will automatically work if we use this implementation. So how do you bring that styling into here? We just type select, and let's see if it will work. Yeah, it just worked right there. It just fits in. Let's look at the text area. The text area might also work. Let's give it a try. Text area. Yeah, it also fits into what we have there. The last one is this one, which I said will give us a little bit of hustle, but it's straightforward as well. Let's go ahead and do it. So individually, because we've gone ahead to say these guys are, we can even put it inside. I think we should put it inside grid. Yeah, we can do that. We can put them inside the grid actually. Just thought about that. So each item can actually be inside the grid. So let's see how we can bring it up. So I'll go ahead and remove all the reference that is not needed. I'm removing all the reference that is not needed, so that we are as lean as possible. Okay, so this is to show the label. Oh, we've removed the type of what we are dealing with. So put our type there. So we have radio. Okay. Now the female type is also removed. Now, because we've gone ahead to style our label with block, that's why this guy is not aligning. But I will still go ahead and put this guy inside. I'll put this guy inside form grid. All this one now. I want to put it inside form grid actually. I think it should work. Let's try it. So it's 3 items. So we need to prepare for it. So I will say radio stuff. So let's give it radio name. So this is it here. So let's give it something that has to do with radio. So grid form radio. And remember it's 3 columns. So let's give it three data, 1, 2, 3. And let's maintain gap of 20. We can change it later. Okay, what else do we want to do? Let's now put everything inside this grid column name. So it has to be from here to here. this 1, this 2, and this 3. So they have to be inside a new container, which is going to be called this. And it's going to end here. Okay, so you can see that it's giving us the results, but we're not done yet. So the result is giving us is sizable, okay, but we need to be able to we miss something as well. When you are working with radio box, you need to specify name, common name across board. So I removed the name, so I'm going to call the name gender, put all of them to have that unique name so that we can have that fixed. So that one is fixed, but now we need to bring this male close to this side. So I need to make it back to inline. So I need to tell it class and say, in fact, I'll just switch to the different kind of view. So this one should be inside here actually. Yeah, so it should be like this. I don't need to switch. So I don't need to add 4. And I don't need to maintain the ID. So this is what I'm doing. I'm removing the 4, I'm removing the ID, and I'm bringing the input inside the label. I'm doing that for the next one, removing the 4, removing the ID, bringing the input inside the label. So I have this result. Okay, the final thing we have is our button. We need to put our button to the right. How do you move your button to the right? This is our button here. From the bootstrap, we have all this crazy guy going on here. So we remove this one, remove this one. Let's test if we can float it. Well, let's use if we can use text align. Text align center. Do we have anything like text align center there? I thought I did text align, text right. So let's see if text right will work. Okay, text right worked. Was able to align our content to text right. So we have this here, but we need to style it to meet our requirements. So first of all is to have an idea of what we're doing. Okay, let's just give it a single class and let's call it button. So we're styling button. Let's go ahead and style button. Okay, so our styling should be like this, where we have, okay, it's a class. Yep, it's a class. So we want to maintain the background color. Background color can be blue. This blue too sharp. I'll just put this blue here, right? Then the color of the text can be white. Then let's play with the padding of the text, or rather of the placement of the text. So padding left and right is, let's just do general padding. So starting from the top, px, let's say 8, top right 15, bottom 8, and left 15 px. Okay, so I think this should be more of like something like so, where this can be 30. Yeah, let me say 35. Okay, so that's more like it. Then I can do something like border 0, border non-border. So I can then do what I call border radius. Border radius, and be more specific now. Border top radius, top left to 10px. Then I want to do opposite to bottom right. Bottom right. Okay, so I think that's it, guys. That is it. Be corrected by just saying padding, margin and padding is equal to 0. Margin, and you can do padding as well, is equal to 0. It's kind of simple, nothing so difficult. I'm just going to show you how to bring in the font. Let's go to Google Fonts. To do it, you need to get to Google Fonts. You can't create your fonts by yourself now. You have to go to get fonts online. So the one that you can do is Google Fonts. So I'm going to be using two types of fonts. We're going to use one for the website and one for the headings or something. So if you go to Google Fonts, there's quite a lot of fonts there. So I'm just going to focus on two. This Roboto is cool, right? And they're going to show you how to bring the font in. Nothing too dramatic. So I'm going to use this guy. So I just clicked on it. There's quite a lot of, sometimes the sites might be confusing, right? I know what I'm saying. Sometimes you might not know what to do when you get here, but let's just try and see if it looks easier to get by. So there are various ways you can bring in your fonts. Various ways you can bring in fonts. This is the font we've chosen. Oh, let me start again so that you get the whole idea. So if I go to the Google font, you see so many fonts. You can actually search and you can be specific on the kind of font you are looking at. Do you get? You can actually be specific on the kind of font you want. And as you scroll down, you see different fonts that you can pick. I'm just picking the first thing here. So now that I have this font here, I just say get fonts. There are so many ways you can implement fonts. You can download the font on your phone and implement. That method long, small. I'm not going to use that method. That method is longer. So, but the easiest way is to embed the font. This is font embedding. Embed the font this way. So they actually show you how to do that. Once I click here, it's quite easy. Now you notice that using link, now you're not seeing the usage of link very well, because most time we think links are used for style sheets and other things. You can use link. Link is actually good for bringing in, resources that is not your system. So this is how we're going to use it. This one is what we're going to use. We're not going to call all these guys, even though you should call it, right? But I'll just call this guy. Well, let me just call all of them. So these are all the things you are going to call. But if you are using more than one font, you can use this code to call as many fonts as you want. You can use this code to call as many fonts as you want. So this is using linking method. Now inside here, you are going to have the font you want. So look at the name, guys. This is the font I want. So you can actually type in any Google font that you know and put it inside here, and it's going to show up for you. So once we copy this code, we can now use the font by doing something like this. This is how we can use the font Roboto, and then provide this weight and everything like that. You don't need to write all these style sheets. They're just showing you how to use it, which we are going to use. Okay, so that's method 1. Method 2, we're not going to use method 2. I just want to show you that there's other method. Method 2 is using style sheet to bring it. In fact, I think method 2 is better. One could use method 2. So this is using method 2. Method 2, you don't need to copy all these link, blah, 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 blah. Method 2, you just go into your style sheet and you copy this and paste there. Let's use method 2. So remember what's happening in method 2, you are using the @import procedure, and then you are feeding this information into your style sheet. So I'm going to copy everything here. I've copied it now. So let's go to our code. Remember, these are our style sheets here. So we're going to put it in the beginning of everything we are doing. So we have it there. Do you see what's happening? Let me make this another level of preview. Okay, I think it's okay like this. Yeah. So do you see what's happening, guys? So this is everything is getting the font for you from Google API, blah, 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 blah. And the font is here with all the weights. These are all the weights it has, because you have size 400, size 500, size 700, size 900. That is how bold the font can be. So I said I'm going to copy 2 fonts. So let's go ahead and look for the other one. The other one is going to be in charge of our heading. It's going to be in charge of our heading. So I'm going to use, how do I even select? Okay, 1 font selected. Okay, I've selected 1 font. So by the time I select the other one, it's going to show me that it's 2 fonts selected. So I need something bold for the, okay, yeah, I think I like this one. Let's pick this one, guys. Even though, let's pick this one. Let's pick that one I saw now. Yeah, let's pick this one. So now we now have 2 fonts selected. Do you see what happened? 2 fonts selected. You can unselect it when you go. I think you can unselect it somehow. Just go through the site. You can unselect it, somewhat. So if you go and get the code, you will see what will happen. Now, do you notice that it has added the 2 fonts for you? You have this one and Roboto. So the same thing in import, it has combined the 2 fonts into one for you. What I mean is that everything is just going to download, and then you're going to be using your code like nothing is happening. So, but that's the name of the font. When we are picking the name of the font, this is the name of the font. Bibas space plus means space new or something. So you can see the usage. This is the usage. If we want to use that Bibas, this is how to use it. Okay, let's go ahead and make something happen. So we'll come here and we do import. We don't need the first one anymore. So you can see the second one, it has extended that one. So this is the usage. It just says family, it adding this one, and you're adding this one. So what that means is that if you know the name of the font you want, just put it there, and then it will import it for you. You can start consuming those fonts. Now we need to get the name. I know the name. Let me copy the name so that we'll put in the title. So this one name is, I will copy this. This is what I want to use. These are Bibas. What this one means is that this second line, it means that if this font is not found, use the second font. That's what that one is saying. Whenever you have fonts, sometimes it comes with other fonts. So if the first one is not available, use the second one. Or if the first font is still downloading, it uses the second font. So that's why you notice here again, this font says this, and then you can then have this other one to fall back to. So let me use Roboto here. Roboto. So you can see that this has changed. Everything has changed to this one. So we can then change. I don't like this bootcamp for anything. So I think we call it, let's look for where we use that bootcamp guy. Let's look at so we call it title, right? So it was used, title was used. Let's look for title and change it. Title, where title today? So do font family as well. And we'll call it, oh, okay, I don't have it copied. That's good. Wow, it's looking fine now. So that's the thing, come fine. So let me do one interesting thing to this guy. Let me do one interesting thing. What's me that thing, self? Okay, letter spacing. Yeah. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, this is what I want to do to it, because it looks too cramped together. So one more thing, let's change the sign up as well. The sign up, where is the sign up guy? Those are just the 2 things we want to touch, and we are done, guys. So sign up is using H1. So you can just go and style your H1 like so. And you're good to go. So you can implement the same spacing I did there too. In fact, you can do something weird, but that's totally silly. So this is fine, guys.